So,
do we know what we're talking about in this episode?
you have the most famous Buhurt fighter ever on the podcast. What do you think we're talking about, Charles? All right. I'm Charlie.
I'm Charles.
And you're watching the Buhurt is Love podcast, the best podcast on the interwebs about all things armored combat. We are joined today by Bill Bam Bam Woodbury,
a.k.a. Superman.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Who, like we just alluded to, is possibly, no, not possibly, is the most famous Buhurt fighter in the world.
Yeah, you won the
everything.
The History Channel.
He's won
show.
everything at this point.
Yeah, he's got 1 million golds with the Striking Eagles.
How many world championships do you have right now?
World Championship gold, 7, but I think I've medaled maybe it's 20 times.
Just 20.
Just 20, and that's only international level.
That's just World Championships.
So there's more international hardware in there as well.
Well, I've only done World Championships internationally.
Oh, okay.
So, but stateside, plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty.
No, we fought in Guadalajara.
Oh yeah, we did. I've done one. I've done
one. Okay. Yeah.
Also a gold in that one.
Oh yeah.
So,
what got you you did you do the SCA first?
I did. So I came from the SCA. I got into that based actually out of Dungeons and Dragons.
Nice. Well,
that's how I got into sport.
My DM, I just started playing. I barely had done anything, and he's like, you can do this for real. And I went, do what? He's like, you could fight in armor. What? And then my friend said, oh, there's women there. And I went, no, I have to check that out.
Now you got to check it out. The women's in there.
Oh, mine was one of my D&D buddies was, hey, we've got my cousin's in town going to be hitting people with swords and axes. You want to go watch? And I'm like, yeah. And then I showed up. They're like, no, it's practice. We're going to hit you too.
That's funny.
That's how I got roped into it.
Yeah,
well, that's the easy way.
Yeah. I knew all of the guys. I knew Brett, Brendan, Adam. I knew all of them from foam fighting for about 10 years before I started in armor, or 4 or 5 years before I started in armor. And I remember putting on helmets, and we had these real heavy foam swords. And I was like, I can hit in the head? And they were like, yeah. So I spent that whole duel just clubbing my opponent in the top of the head. And then, I guess a year later, they put me in armor, and I haven't died yet, so. Yeah.
Not for lack of trying, Charles.
Yeah, not for lack of trying at all.
We do try.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the first time Charles fought you was when you put me out of the sport for like 6 months.
Yeah.
At a freaking, where was it, Salt Lake City?
Yeah, you picked him up and was
you
like...
picked me up and showed me just how small of a man I was.
and Charlie's been a big fan of yours ever since.
It's a strange thing how this sport goes. Like, you kick the fuck out of someone, and then you're like, oh, now we're buds. We're friends.
My very first actual tournament, the first fight was against you and Simon.
Oh, jeez.
They lined me up brand new, never fought before. And we're at, what was that one that's in New Jersey? What did they call that one?
New World Cup. Yeah, New World Cup.
And our total time in the list that day was 47 seconds. Because y'all put us down so hard. It was like the time it took us to walk across the list, we just fell over.
Was it 5s or 3s?
It was 5s.
5s.
So as the first year they were doing 5s at New World Cup. So, yeah, you and Simon manhandled me and Brennan and everyone else on that pickup team.
I still remember seeing you. I think it was a video of you punching some dude, and the guy went out, and I was like...
Is that the one from Spain? Where you Superman punched that dude into oblivion? Yeah,
and the guy just falls over, and I was like,
that poor guy.
Yeah.
So every year I repost that video and it comes up in my feed, and he's a Polish fighter and he's still friends with me. And every year he's like, really? Again? Really? But it was just it's such a great shot, and I wish it was in better resolution, but
man, with the way AI is going with the editing and stuff, we can probably...
Hey, you can do it in Studio Ghibli
Yeah,
now.
we might be able to-
They just started the Studio Ghibli AI.
oh boy,
it's
all we need.
Yeah, it's
Let's
really
bring out
good.
all the old footage, right? Fix it.
Oh my goodness!
Make it animated?
Oh my god, that's a great idea.
Maybe I think I might be. Like there's snippets that are really good of high action, high energy, and then it's a whole lot of fat guy bumper cars.
Yeah.
So
that's one thing we talk about. Like, tournaments aren't spectator friendly. They're just
No.
really not.
Yeah.
They're highlight reel amazing,
Yeah.
right? But they're not spectator friendly. And everybody wants live streams. Fighters want live streams. Fans don't.
Yeah.
I don't like live streams.
Yeah, I can't watch.
I'm not gonna watch
Like-
6 hours. I'm not gonna go back and watch 6 hours.
Well, what I wait for one of my teammates to suffer through all that shit and post the timestamps, and then I go watch the timestamps.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Sean.
Yeah, Sean. Oh,
Yeah, I hate the live stream because you always end up with some point there's a drop. You always lose some audio. You go down to low resolution.
yeah.
I would much rather see a recorded video come out and then be released later at full quality.
See, like we talked about. See, Charles.
You got me because I was like
You're crazy.
nobody cares about that. I'm wrong. Apparently I was wrong.
So
folks.
Lucas Oil does this exact thing with automotive racing.
Okay.
Right, they go to all the like the buggy races, the off-road truck stuff. Also, there's like King of Hammers, and what they'll do is they'll edit it down to a highlight reel of the day, right? And not necessarily highlight. I mean, it shows you what each heat was, but it's just the highlights of the day, and they condense like a 24-hour race into like an hour,
Yeah.
right? And it's watchable because nobody wants to watch. I mean, if you want to watch something like 24-hour Le Mans, you go to 24 Hours Le Mans, right? Or you do what I do and camp on the couch and watch it on the internet and all the other channels that it bounces around to for 24 hours.
Or you watch it on a 19-hour drive to Arizona.
Charles actually got into. He's like, I never thought I'd watch sports car racing, and he starts watching 24-hour Le Mans on driving out to Chase Ferries in
Arizona. Yeah, I sat down and watched. I remember seeing the race begin and being like, oh, I'm not going to be here for the rest of it. And like right as I'm actually pulling into where I'm going, the race is basically over. I think they get the checker flag right as I pull into the place. I'm like, wow, I watched this whole race. And I mean like every bit of it. That's wild. But yeah, that's the thing about live streams. Nobody cares that much about, it's not even caring that much about it. It's the fact that so much of the time is spent switching fighters out,
Hurting
getting
cats.
the fighters checked. Like
Just
so much
hurting
of it
cats.
is not fighting.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so
Well,
like that's
what's our average round on the Warlords? Like 30, 45
yeah,
seconds?
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
I mean, on Dominus, it's probably even less than that, right? So,
and then you spend minutes prior between each round.
Between each round.
5, 10 minutes between each,
I mean, the rest take a minute to count all the fighters at the end of the round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And the thing is with other sports and things like that are cast live and stuff like that, they have commercials. And if you notice, if you watch sports on TV, it's a lot of commercials.
Yeah,
Because a
that's
lot
why.
of it's not sports happening.
how much football is actually played in a football game?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Right? Just an hour's worth. And then,
Not even an hour's worth.
actually, yeah, because a lot of it's the clock's rolling. Yeah.
Clock's rolling like between plays and stuff. So, same thing in our sport, and that's why club matches are where it's at.
Yeah. I think,
That's
You've thoroughly beaten me in this argument. I can't because I was trying. So I was like, if we can get the stream down to like maybe 3 hours, we can get people to watch it.
so
That's
could
not happening.
You could do a live stream for a club match, right? Because it's less than 2 hours. Because each period 15 minutes, and then your time between periods is 10 minutes. That's watchable, and you could fill that 10-minute downtime with something.
Yeah, with plenty of stuff. Yeah.
Right? You could fill it with interviews of fighters. You could fill it with stuff, right? But I think it's much better as being completely edited down. Right?
Well, because also then you have a lot less to worry about with streaming in 4K.
You can't stream in 4K right now.
Yeah,
there is no service that streams in 4K
Oh,
right now.
it's even better. 1080p. Streaming in 1080p sucks. Like as far as the equipment you need, the bandwidth, the internet, all of that stuff.
I
to
mean,
make
just
it
look
work.
at all the garbage we need for a 45-minute podcast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you're not wirelessly transmitting.
No.
Right? Especially through cellular.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of these streaming, that we do. It's all through cellular service. So
and it starts dropping out because you got how many fighters and people are there with their cell phones on the same tower.
exactly.
It's usually in a metal building, which is going to give you shit reception anyway.
Yeah.
So
Actually, yeah.
It's something I really wish we would get away from because I don't feel like it really provides an entertainment value, and it also doesn't provide a very good training resource.
no.
Because we can't go back and look at it easily. Usually the resolution's
Not great.
reduced.
Yeah, you can't see. You can basically see fighters moving around. You can't see what they're actually doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, was that in the Soto Gari? Was that a society? I don't know. The guy
But like
went
Timothy
down.
Hines videos are fantastically high quality,
Exactly.
almost useless for training.
True.
because they're so well shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
they're cinematic.
Because they're cinematic,
Exactly.
right? But
Yeah,
they don't show the
exactly.
whole field,
Exactly.
right? But they're cinematic. I think what we need for training purposes, we need like in football, we have the goalpost cam, right? And we need the equivalent of the goalpost cam for training. Like maybe on each side of the field, you've
Each
got like
corner facing each
you've got like
other,
a
you can see
360 cam
everything.
that you can, because you use one of those 8K 360 cams, you can actually cut that footage down to 4K and zoom in on things.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Okay,
you can
okay.
actually like reposition where the camera's focused at, and then cut that down to still be 4K, and you can still see. Like if I want to zoom in on what's going on in that back corner, I can, but I still have the whole field for doing stats and all that good stuff. So
That's a really good idea. I didn't realize that was a thing. But also, like, how much is an 8K 360 degree
they're
camera?
not that bad. They're like $400.
Okay, that's not bad.
wow.
That's not terrible.
Okay.
Yeah. So
No, I think it's one of the biggest challenges we have in the sport is, the problem is you get what you pay for.
true.
And since a lot of our stuff is volunteer
Yep.
and people, we can't really afford to spend a lot on our production
Exactly.
because we're barely paying for the event.
Yeah.
We tax the fighters pay, their
The fighters still
event
pay.
fee.
I'm sorry. The fighters still pay next to nothing.
It is true.
It is true.
That is true.
Yeah.
I don't disagree, and
Yeah.
I'm fine with pay to play.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's any amateur sport, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Any amateur sport, you got to pay some kind of registration fee. Like my kids doing Little League cost me a fortune. Right? And they weren't in competitive ball. They were in like
They were in
T-ball
Little League.
beer
Yeah.
league stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and we don't pay, like if you charge like a $30 fee for an event, people bitching about $30.
Yeah.
Right. I'm fine. Like dude, if we got solid refs, good quality footage, all that good stuff, I would pay 100, 150
Yeah,
bucks.
about-
for
yeah,
a
about
for a
100
weekend.
bucks an
I mean, we're
event,
fighting
yeah.
for 2 days.
Yeah.
Usually, right? That's $75 a day. That's
And then we can get some really, really cool medals or something.
we could actually have medals at all the events.
Oh, that would be nice.
that aren't 3D printed
For each event.
for each
event-
fighter.
And each fighter.
For every fighter and every event.
I am always going to be salty about flying all the way to Prague,
Oh, man.
and there are no medals at Prague.
I would be salty about that.
That I'm forever going to be salty
Have I
about that
heard this
nonsense.
before? I feel like I haven't heard this
So
before.
so Prague had to be the last swan song of HMB had to be on that weekend because it was at the biggest Ren fair in all of Europe.
Okay.
Bullshit. It had to be on that weekend because they weren't trying to put the death knell on
Edit that out later.
Okay.
Don't edit that out. Leave it in. Because they were trying to put the death knell on IMCF, which was in Spain that weekend.
Oh, okay.
Right. So they got and IMCF was set to be the largest IMCF ever.
Yeah.
Because all the teams were going.
Yeah, it was
Right.
big.
So they end up pilfering like half the teams that were going to go to IMCF went to Prague. The fights at Prague were absolutely astounding. The best teams in the world were there.
Yeah.
Right.
There were some good fights.
But the event
watch.
was absolute dog shit. Yeah. Like it just
Oh,
was.
yeah, because then you have to fight for
fought-
like.
our first fight was at 9 a.m. Okay. Our last fight was at midnight, like 11 p.m. or midnight. When we got knocked out, we were knocked out right before medaling rounds. So when we got knocked out, and then the gold medal fights were at like 1 a.m. And then we didn't do anything the next day except 12s. Half the day we did nothing.
Man.
So
Yeah,
we were
that's not a very well run tournament.
No, it was terrible, and there wasn't water for the fighters. There was like a whole bunch of stuff, dude. Like it was.
I can't
it
lie
was
to you.
not-
Spain was dope.
Spain
was dope.
It did look like-
Oh, yeah,
like-
you were.
Yeah, Spain was a
you
great-
were.
Dude,
Yeah.
I remember watching the live streams coming from Spain. I'm like, I went to the wrong damn tournament.
Oh, Doug.
That was-
Yeah, no,
squad-
it was a good tournament. I missed having all the fighters there, though.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have a much deeper talent pool to play with.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, we fought on the fives together, right?
Yeah, we
we had a great time.
Yeah, it was great. We ended up getting fourth.
Yeah, I know. And I think we all have a story about why it's each of ours fault.
Yep, yeah,
I'm like, no, it's my
that
fault.
was
No, it's
my
my
favorite
fault.
part. That was my favorite part because at the end, everyone's like, yeah, man, I'm sorry I did this. And I was like, oh, man, I guess it wasn't my fault. And then everybody else was like, oh, I guess. Yeah, because I had a situation where I basically felt like I tripped the guy or whatever, but I stumbled over his body and fell. And I was like, God, that's tale as old as time for me. Just,
Charles, that's every fight.
yeah.
You weren't at our film review Wednesday.
I was walking my dog.
You got the cleanest DeSoto ever, followed up by a face plant into the rail from midfield. You threw that dude so hard, you smoked the rail with your forehead on the other side of the list.
I
Did he stay
remember
up?
falling.
No, he did not.
I was trying to fall.
He hit that rail so hard, I thought he knocked himself out.
Yeah, I was trying to fall into the rail to keep myself up, but I hit forehead first and like shoulder first. And I remember hitting the ground and being like, "Ooh, that's gonna look real funny on film," and it did.
I've said this. You are the only fighter whose D20 has only 20s and 1s.
Yeah.
There's no in between for you.
Nothing else. I don't need anything else. I'm either gonna pass it, or I'm gonna crit it, or I'm gonna crit it.
I mean, the first round of the day, you are smoking those dudes that I had held in the corner, and they're screaming, nat 20s the whole way, right?
Yeah.
And then this.
Ooh, and it's gotten a
gnarly.
lot better. It's gotten a lot better. It was
Only 20s and 1s. Only 20s and 1s.
I let it.
Well, was that friendly fire?
Oh, yeah.
That's friendly fire.
He hit me. He was lighting. I was holding two dudes against the rail, and he's lighting these dudes up. And then I get smoked in the armpit.
Yeah, he didn't notice it. Nobody noticed it when it happened. We had to go back and look.
Go back and watch the video because we got done with fighting. Like, man, why does that hurt? And like it was bleeding and bruised. Like it was bad. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't remember getting hit. And we back looking at the video, and I'm like, Charles, you son of a bitch.
He hit me on purpose though. He really fired me on purpose.
I asked you if you were sure.
No.
So Charles got a guy trying to suicide him in the corner. Will not let go. Will not let go. And Charles like, hit him in the hand. I'm like, are you sure?
And I'm like, yeah. And he just hits me right in the chest. And I'm like,
it's like, this is for every time you've ever friendly fired me.
He hit me in the chest, and I immediately felt bad for everybody I'd ever friendly fired. I was like, wow, maybe I do deserve some scrutiny because this is terrible.
It was not anywhere near our opponent.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but
there's only one in the action.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm very happy that nowadays I'm not known for friendly fire. It used to be. It used to be really, really. I remember one time we were doing some 21s, and I got 7 guys, but 3 of them were my own. Oh. I was like, oh, you looked at me. Oh, I better kill you.
Those are Brennan numbers right there.
Yeah. It used to be once a tournament, Brennan would kill somebody with Charlie.
I'll be grabbing somebody over here. Sorry, Charlie. And I'm like, fuck you, as I'm getting ripped off my feet.
Everybody goes down.
The whole pile goes down.
Well, that used to be the strategy. It was, oh, these guys are tied up. I'm just going to run and knock these 4 guys over. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And you're like, well, hopefully the numbers work out.
Works out okay.
Hopefully it works out in the end. And now we know that that's not how we should be treating this. We need, you got to keep your people up because those numbers matter. It counts. And it
can't get your guns back once they go down.
That's right. And if you help your friend get back up or save him from going down, then you both go and gang fuck somebody.
Exactly.
You gotta get that steamroll started, huh?
Exactly.
See, and we've been telling y'all this for how many episodes now? Keep your homies up.
Yeah. Defense is more important than offense.
You win 100% of every fight you stay up in. It's just the way the game works, man.
It's hard to argue with that, Doug.
So, I guess that's not true because now you can time out an event technically, but
I have a question for you, Bum Bum. At what point did you know that you were the guy? What was your I'm the guy moment?
Wow. Well, I would say it was a progressive thing. One of the things I was really fortunate when I started in the sport. I had already decided to change my life, and so I went from being a fat guy, and I decided I didn't like that anymore. So I started running 3 miles a day, and I've been doing that for about 3 years when I found the sport.
Okay.
So I walked into the sport at 6'5", 265, running a 5K every day, which gave me a huge advantage against all of the fat nerds that we have here.
Exactly.
Right. So within the first year, we created in the ACL, we created the Striking Eagles, and I kind of quickly moved up in the ranks in that. I don't know. It was still a progressive thing. There was a lot of big, strong guys out there still. Anthony Lynch was a guy at the time and a little bigger than me. Really a great fighter. And so I don't know if there's a point where I went, I'm the guy.
Gotcha.
Well, I knew I was one of some.
Gotcha. Yeah. That was something I noticed about you as a fighter too. Is you reinvented yourself before our very eyes. because you like, we were like, all right, and it was kind of a trip too, because a lot of other fighters from your era, like your Ian Kanskis, your Simons, Jay, like
all of the executioners.
all of them had kind of like fallen by the wayside, but not you. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna, because like you started doing judo, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna start doing judo, and to see a fighter upgrade themselves, and like kind of go back to reinvent themselves so deep into their career is really impressive.
Like when most fighters would have retired.
Exactly. Because you see pros do it. You see pros.
I think it was at the Carnage where Carnage was both IMCF and HMB selection tournament, and you hadn't made either team that year because you were on a team that just was not going to make it.
Yeah.
Right. And as hard as you want to carry, like there's only so much you can do without a team. Right.
Exactly.
And you went home after that. And then we fought again in Reno. He
came back. He came back on fire.
In that stupid, shitty list.
Yeah.
It fell apart every round. And I think it was the Warlords versus y'all's round. Versus what team were you on? Was it was that Blood Eagles?
I think it was with Blood Eagles. Yeah, it was Blood Eagles.
So against Blood Eagles, and we destroyed the list. Like there was just splinters left. And then after that, you come over to talk with me and Austin after that fight, and you were like, "I'm training again." Now I'm paraphrasing, right? But you're like, and then what was it? The next quals, you had qualified for the national team again.
Yeah.
Well, I went to the first camp that Dan Krug threw.
Yeah.
And that opened my eyes up to this new meta of the introduction of judo into our sport.
Yeah.
And it was I was having a lot of fun with it. I was training with Joseph Brandt, and I just remember like we're doing these like leg drills, and I was just having so much fun with them. But after that event, I pulled Dan aside and I said, "Hey Dan, I really want to make Dominus." He's like, "All right, you could do that. You're gonna have to change everything about your fighting." And I went, "Wow,
yeah,
okay."
Well, it's a complete paradigm shift to top of the sport meta now from when. Like back in the good old days of the ACL, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is a complete change in how you play.
It is. And so for myself, what I had to do is I actually stopped striking for a whole year.
Okay.
I just focused on grappling. So that next tournament you're talking about where we were in Reno and the list was blown apart, I didn't throw a single punch that entire tournament. It was only grappling. Because I was trying to train myself that when I get put under pressure, I fall back on grappling and not on strikes. Okay. Because strikes are effective somewhat, but they're really exhausting.
They're really exhausting, and when you say effective somewhat, they're turbo effective against new fighters. If you get lucky, and if equipment fails. Right, or if somebody's badly strapped helm or whatever. Yeah.
And like you're one of the few people who could probably actually force an equipment failure through a punch, but at the end of the day, it's not reliable, right?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. So grappling is always reliable, and that's one reason why it's like the Dominus meta, the Warlords meta. Kenya's is probably the only top tier team that grappling is not their go-to kill meta.
But they're also very, very solid on it though.
Well, they're very solid, but they're not. So Kenya's grappling isn't dangerous.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's not the danger. Their grappling is my style of grappling. It's a tar pit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you down. It's gonna take me a minute. Right. I'm gonna win this in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, while they have McCabe running around and checking,
but they've got McCabe, they've got McCabe and Mickey running around. They're cross-checking, striking, and what are they doing? They're advancing that grapple, right? McCabe may not get to takedown, but he didn't have to. He's got to get to Ginger Gorilla a little bit better grip. What is that dude's name? Chad. He is huge, dude.
He's a big dude.
That's a big dude.
He got kinfolk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got like.
Is there a whole family?
He got
full
like
of
two
Chads?
little brothers that look just like him. If he gets them on Kenya's, dude, that's it, dude.
That's a problem. It's a storm brewing.
I mean, you just can't take them down. They're like 400 plus pounds and like 6'8".
You can. The hardest part is doing it without going down with them. Without doing that sacrificial kill. Because just to apply that much force to them and even leverage, it's hard.
Yep.
So, I mean, that was Pete Moe, who's another giant dude on Kenya's.
Huge.
It was everything me and Brett could do to get him down at Waxgiving. It was 2v1 at the end of the round. It was everything we could do to get him down. Like, we were going to win, because it's me and Brett versus Pete, then that matchup's we're going to win that matchup. Pete's a good fighter, but you got Brett.
Yeah.
Right? Brett's the best.
But Pete is so strong.
So huge and so strong. And it was
Wasn't
so
Pete
bad.
the first guy to actually
It was so bad neither
hurt you?
Brett nor I could fight the next round.
Oh yeah.
That's how exhausting that was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Was that Pete that asked you when we went to War in the North? You were like,
That
"Don't let him hit me again."
That made the billboard?
Yeah,
Dude, he's the reason I got out of Andre legs.
bro.
It's the only time I ever. It's also the only time he ever swung a two-handed axe.
Yeah, yeah. No, so up until this point, Charlie could take a beat. He was the guy who got beat on.
Sure.
Charlie will be fine.
Yeah.
Go up there to War of the North, and I see him get hit, and he goes, "Ah! Don't let him hit me!" And I'm like, I don't want that guy to hit me either, dog. I'm like, I'm not as strong as Charlie is, and that guy. Don't let that guy swing his axe anymore.
Dude, I hobbled across the list, took that axe away from him, and pushed him over a body. and then my leg didn't work for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah. I watched with my eyes this big and was like, "Get him, Charlie!
And
You got him!"
So the photographer got the perfect time shot of that,
Yeah.
where like the axe is like sunk into my armor. Like it's like flexed it in.
Oh, nice.
And then like I'm like you can see me like mid scream and Pete's got this perfect baseball like stretched, and it was like on the billboard for the next year's tournament for like 2 whole years because I never took it down. And Pete would always send me pictures every time we drove.
Oh man! Oh man!
That hurts. So, that was also Pete's first tournament.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Why don't you swing a two-handed axe? You would be terrifying with a two-handed axe.
Well, so I bought a really nice Joseph Dawes custom axe, and I brought it to Carnage, I don't know, a few years ago, the year I didn't make it. And the problem is I just blow the handles out like as soon as I start swinging.
Get you a Brett haft.
Well, I haven't tried one yet, and I don't know. You know, I'm kind of just stuck with my tried and true punch shield and falchion. And it's they make me feel like I like having a punch. I like having a shield.
Yeah.
I end up taking a lot of heat, and pole axes, I don't like them. So I do like having a shield to at least suck up some of that. Recently, I gave Austin one of the punch shields that he broke in half on me.
That was one of your poorer life.
Yeah, you were holding me. You're holding me, and Austin's teeing off on me.
Dude, I walk up. So you would come across the list to cross check Adam, and I was like, no. And I run in, and I cross check you, and Adam escapes. And then you roll to the back of the list with Austin. I put somebody else down, turn around, and I'm like, oh, bam, bam. I throw one into your hip, and you're like, oh no, and you go grab my axe, and I'm like, okay. And then Austin puts an axe through your shield.
Well, I remember being pinned on that rail, and I'm trying to get away from you, and I see him tearing up, and I swing my shield down, and he just cracks it right in half.
Yeah.
It's like you should have stayed grappled with Austin.
God damn it.
I don't swing near as hard as he does.
So I took a couple of those shots, and I think I took a knee. I'm like,
Austin is.
When you're pinned and you're just getting nailed,
Exactly.
there's just no point. You know, like it's
Not
more
something to
important
play
to
around
fight
with.
that next round than it is to stay up for another 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Dude, so Austin's usually my two, right? He usually runs wing. I'm rail and he's usually my wing. And we've been doing this for 8 years, and the meta is just reach up, grab that shield, because they're going to have a shield, and we're on the left rail, and their shield's going to be on the outside. And that shield's just a giant handle. You just pull the shield, Austin swings, they scream, they fall over.
Yeah.
And then you grab the two, and they usually take a knee before Austin ever gets there. It's amazing.
Cushy job. You got a cushy job.
It makes you look like a rock star.
Yeah, because you stopped carrying a shield. God, that's like, what, 4 years ago at this point, or 2-3 years?
So, what made me stop carrying a shield is I didn't have one for a while because the rules changed and my shield was outlawed.
Oh yeah.
So I
used to have the
and I spent
Texas-
3 years with a two-handed axe on the rail because I was bored, because it's real easy when Austin's your two just to grab somebody and here, Austin, right? And it got kind of boring, so I was doing it with a two-handed axe just to make the grappling harder. So I got used to fighting without a shield, and then I went back to I was trying to go back to a shield, but I didn't have one. And so I was like, I got full plate, screw it. And so I rolled that tournament. It was Carnage against that, and we're fighting against White Company. And their one rolled up, and I grabbed his shield, and I turned his arm inside out and laid him back into the rail. And Austin hit him so hard in the tricep, I thought the man died. And I was like, I'm never using a shield again, because if somebody does this to me, I'm fucked.
Oh, he got hit on the inside of his shield.
I rolled his arm inside out like this, and Austin smoked him on the, and so that is now in my repertoire. If you have a shield, I'm turning your shield inside out.
So basically, Austin breaking somebody made you not want to carry a shield anymore. That's crazy.
Well, also I fight. So I'm our left rail.
Oh yeah,
And
you're
my shield's useless.
Yeah.
It's over the list. Why do I need one?
Yeah.
Right? Because the only time I'm going to get hit is when we walk in. Because if Charles is running my 2, or if Austin's running 2, or if I've got, if one of our other teammates is running
Mikey,
2.
who's just going to grapple.
Mikey's got a shield. He's great, and he's hard on my shoulder, so I don't need one. And I wear full plate. Also, I'm gonna be honest, you can't swing for shit.
Most people don't. Yeah,
if that makes you angry, I am talking to you
specifically. That's kind of the rough part too about using the axe as well, because I remember when I first started, and I was like, I really shouldn't be using this axe because I suck with it, and I was like, well, I'll just stay with it. And then what I started doing was I would go outside every morning with my gauntlets on, and I just twirl my axe around. And it was that crescent axe, so it was max weight.
Oh God!
I just swing my axe around until like that got easy, and then I'd go out every morning, and then I'd swing with that. And then like the next tournament, I was like, all right, I can actually hurt somebody with this thing. But 8 times out of 10, like if it's not one of 5 people on the planet and they've got a 2-hander, I'm like, I don't care, dude. I'm not really scared about it that much. I
mean, how many times have you gone down to axe strikes? Like, not many.
Not a lot. Yeah. No, I mean, and really, I don't find that strikes really take me down. They take me down 2 or 3 fights later. So, you get hit and you're like, that kind of hurts. And then in a few rounds, you're like, oh my God, my arm doesn't work anymore. Like,
that's a good one. It's like body shots. Yeah. Like, okay.
Well, I mean, so that's, I don't want to show any kind of pain out on the field.
Yeah.
I don't want to let people know that they're going to pain compliance me. Absolutely not. Yeah. You're going to hit me and you'll be like, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Yeah. And then later I'm like,
I'm like of both minds on that. Sometimes I'll just scream and carry on, even if it doesn't hurt, just to kind of keep them swinging, right? Yeah. But I'm also not going to let somebody swing at me.
Yeah, true.
Right? And this is something that all of y'all make this damn mistake, and it drives me nuts. If you're grappled up with somebody, I don't care if it's you, one of the best grapplers in the sport. If the Axeman walks up, you aren't the threat anymore.
Exactly, yeah. Because
change focus to the guy with the axe. He's the one that can hurt you.
Yeah, the grappler can end your round. That striker, and to go back on everything I just said, he can get lucky and end your tournament.
He can get lucky.
Yeah,
right?
He can
break a piece of armor. Yeah. He may get a gap. He may get, you may have an armor failure that he strikes. Like round 1 or round 2 of the tournament last weekend.
Omaha, yeah.
My van brace popped open. Mm-hmm. I went screaming across the list to go get a team kill, and the ref said me.
Yeah, he went to head rip Brendan.
It was juicy. It was there.
You should have finished the head rip so he wasn't the only one with the perfect day. Come on, man. Do your job.
And had the guy rolled up that was fighting Brennan actually swung, he could have broke my arm.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, even though that guy was not a great striker, if your armor's failed, you're fucked.
Exactly.
Right? So that guy is the person that you should have all of your attention on. Mm-hmm. Right? So, and this is one with the executioners got a name for themselves for breaking people because people would stay grappled up with their grappling guy and then just get beat on. It's like, come on. Mm-hmm. Like, have a little bit of field awareness, I guess.
Self-preservation,
like something.
Survival instincts.
I remember our first year we went out, it was Poland 2012, and most of us had not even been in a steel fight.
That's when I wearing some stupidly sketchy armor, like chainmail and shit.
I wore a full suit of armor plus a 22-pound chainmail shirt, so I was like 110 pounds of armor. And it was hotter there. It was like 105 degrees in Poland. It was hotter there than in North Africa at the time.
Why?
Because I was scared. I came from the SCA, where the SCA taught us if you used real swords, limbs were going to fall off.
Yeah, true.
Even if they were blunted, you're just going to chop people's arms off.
The SCA also wears blue barrel armor.
They do.
So
okay. Which, by the way, I would totally wear that shit in steel fight.
It might be.
Look.
It would hold up.
I will grant you the
It might be
plastic
better,
armor
actually.
would be good with proper padding.
Yeah, proper
Okay.
padding, but like the good thick acid barrel.
Yeah.
Like not thin propylene or whatever, but like some good acid barrel. That stuff is tough.
Oh, yeah.
You can't chop through it.
Very impact resistant. Too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, they're making HEMA gear out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't use barrels, but it's the same shit.
So our first year in Poland, like we were terrified of getting pole axes to the back. That's what we were terrified the most. Everyone on the team, before we even took the field, we watched 4 ambulances leave with people, right?
So that's something I've also noticed. Like HMB tournaments have an ass load of ambulances. IMCF, nowhere near the number of injuries.
You get them,
Well,
but yeah.
there was a different mentality.
Yeah.
HMB, the early HMB tournaments were blood sports. I mean, they were there to hurt each other, not to play a sport, not to win a tournament.
Okay.
They were there to settle 1,000 years of hatred between their countries. Okay, that's what was going on there.
And U.S.
And
shows up
America
like,
just
"What's
got
up, guys?"
rolled up in it.
Oh, dude, we showed up. We were like, we're so happy to be here.
They're like,
We lost 21-0 to the Russians, and we all
Oh, my
jumped
God.
up and hugged the Russians, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "We're just so happy to be here. Love you."
Thanks for kicking our asses.
Thanks, guys. That's really funny.
So we're fighting in these rounds, and the very first guy who takes a pole axe to the back was me. I'm fighting a guy on the rail, and all of a sudden I feel wham right on the spine, and I was like, "That's a pole axe. Fuck this guy!" And I turned around and chased this other guy down. And it was a very quick lesson of one, yes, respect it, but 2, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, you're not going to die.
No one was going to. The armor allows us to play with each other without people dying.
Yeah.
That's kind of how
Straight up.
I like to view it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, so
Absolutely.
one thing's like in like HEMA or even Boffers or SCA, there's at some point you're responsible for your opponent's safety, right? To some extent,
Yeah.
right. In HEMA, it's strike as you want to be struck. That's kind of their overarching rule. In armor combat, you sign the waiver.
Yeah. Armor combat is like,
Right.
he didn't hit you in the balls, the foot, the back of the knee, or the
Or the
neck.
neck.
Like, have fun.
Like
And
if you want to sit next week at work, pad your ass cheeks.
And that was something too. Is I'm noticing like because at Omaha, like I was seeing people gap each other, and that used to be like a big like, oh, don't gap people if you're but like
So
now people don't. Now it's like,
the thing is, like at smaller tournaments, don't.
yeah, sure, but like there were definitely some gaps getting caught in Omaha.
There was.
Like,
Charles,
it was-
Charles, there was.
Oh
There was.
yeah, actually,
there was,
yeah,
Charles.
yeah.
I promise.
That
Asshole.
wasn't nearly as good as I could have got you too, because like
I really could have got you when you weren't looking,
I really could have did you bad.
The bad thing
man.
was I had both these guys face pushed up against the rail like this. I was completely stretched out.
I have never been so free to swing in my life. I was like, this is just
That round, so we walked out there and we were supposed to Texas. The plan was that we were going to work on Texas the whole tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Every round with the left rail was just going to Texas. Every round. We walked out. Charles like, we're going to Texas. I'm like, nah, these guys are soft. Just hit them.
just
You know, like when you walk out, you can just tell, sometimes you just tell like, they ain't got it. Mm-hmm. And that was just one of those rounds, right? So, I mean, like when y'all kicked me and Brennan's ass, you're like, these guys are soft. They're soft.
take them down, boys.
And
no, they did. That was.
well, but I think back to those times. That was back when we would just run up and strike someone, whether it was a body check or I'd punch them or it was some type of strike to bring these guys down. And it really only works against those who are unskilled, right?
But everybody was unskilled at that time.
Most were unskilled, right?
The gulf between the top tier fighters then and everybody else was even more so, even though the overall skill level was lower, than what it is today.
Yeah.
Right? Now the top teams are definitely better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else kind of knows the meta, or at least tries.
they at
to.
least
They're learning
know-
it.
learning
They're starting to get the throws. They're starting to get the
like-
the different components.
I'm gonna brag on Kansas City again. This team is the team that has impressed me the most in the past couple of years. I went and trained with them. Do you know Sean Holland and the rest of the Kansas City guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went up there and trained with them last spring, and they were bad. Just They were bad. And I spent 2 days there training with them, showing them basic meta, and just kind of this is the basic rules of Buhurt. Do this and you will not suck. Right. 8 weeks later or so, we saw them fight again at Cincinnati at the Harambe Memorial. Cincinnati Siege. Mm-hmm. And while they were not good by any stretch of the imagination, I think they won one round or one match that day. I think they won their last match, and it was a very hard fought match. They improved every single match they went out,
and that's
they
huge.
were doing 2-1-2. They were hard on the rail. Their twos were their wings were in the hip pocket of the one. They were doing the basic Buhurt correctly. Mm-hmm. They were not good, but they were doing the right thing. Carnage, they managed to win. They managed to win 2 matches in their pool. Mm-hmm. If they were in any other pool, I think they would have made it out of pools. Mm-hmm. But they ended up with 2 teams that were just that went on to like the medaling rounds in their pool.
Yeah, weren't they in the pool with the Bastards?
I think they were Italian Bastards, and I forget who the teams were, but the 2 teams.
Riders, maybe.
Maybe I don't remember what the teams were off the top of my head. But those 2 teams went on to the medaling rounds. Mm-hmm. So they didn't make it out of pools, but they did beat all the other teams in the pool except for those teams. Then we go to this tournament in the Midwest, and they were arguably supposed to be the worst team there.
Okay.
Arguably. They got second.
Yeah, they were not. They were not the worst team there.
They were decidedly not the worst team there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that just showed like how fast these guys are leveling up. And that's kind of like what we want to do is level up the average Buhurt fighter.
The general.
Absolutely.
I personally, I don't care about the top tier teams. They're going to train and get better on their own. They don't need help. Right? But what I want to see is that average Buhurt fighter get better and better and better and better because it makes the sport better. It makes our fights better. It makes America even better. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't want America to ever lose another international tournament.
I agree. Yeah.
Ever.
Not
unless it's the Team Texas.
Unless it's the Team Texas.
IMCF.
Cyrus.
I'm just saying. Cyrus, we are more periods than Quebec. We're definitely more of a country than Wales ever was.
I mean, whoa. Yeah, all of our thumbs down are going to come from Wales now. All 7 of them. I mean, all 7 of the Wales people watching our show are going to be mad.
I mean, I'm just saying, we're period. We had people here in armor in the 1400s.
Yeah, true. So, yeah, wasn't that what the San Jacinto Knights were? Oh, no, that was Sam Houston.
San Jacinto Knights was started by Sam Houston. Mm-hmm. It was kind of an honorary Knights thing that has gone away and come back several times. And I think the last, fun fact, I'm pretty sure the last of the San Jacinto Knights decided the people that they were supposed to induct weren't worthy of being a San Jacinto Knight, so they just stopped inducting people.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Actually, that's literally how you do it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, if you're diluting my pool, you know.
Well, thank you.
No.
It dies with me.
The name has been reawakened or whatever with the Houston team. There's San Jacinto Knights of Houston.
Yeah. Nice.
So
that's dope.
Just where Tanner told me what their name was like years ago, and I was like, yeah, it's like a Texas history buff. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Really cool. Yeah. He's like, what do you think? I was like, no, that's perfect. Do it.
That is really cool. And shout out to them for not using a longhorn. Honestly, all of the Texas teams have gotten away from it.
Here's the thing. No, the regulators do.
But that's okay because there's one Texas team with a longhorn instead of 5.
But the thing is, so like, because I know you don't know who Besa de Vaca is because you're not from Texas, but he's the Spanish explorer that basically discovered Texas, for lack of a better word. Head of the cow. That's what his name means, Cabeza de Vaca. Right?
Okay.
So that's where the cow skull comes in to Texas. It ties all the way back to like the original explorer dude that got here. That was his freaking name.
All right.
Nice.
So I don't have a problem with somebody using a cow skull for their Texas team.
Me neither, but everybody wants a longhorn on their thing. And I'm from Fort Worth. Like our Texas flag, our city flag has the longhorn, but I'm glad we didn't end up with like 5 longhorn teams because I would have cried. I would have cried every time, Doug.
Well, it would just be called Team Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we would call you.
I mean, that's what our 10th team is like Team Texas.
Team Texas,
so.
Yeah.
Which I think we're the only reason it has like a 10s team.
Yeah, kinda. The
Speaking of which,
sorry, I
got some sad news, Charles.
Uh-oh.
We got a lodge a formal complaint.
Uh-oh. Is this going to be our formal complaint that we're lodging right
AMCF, I'm putting you on notice.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how to file a formal complaint, but I'm going to. Right now, I'm going to. War in the North is a 10s tournament. It should not be a Buhurt International 5 tournament.
Wait, no, they're not changing that, are they?
The new leadership in the Midwest decided it needed to be a 5s tournament.
Don't do this to me.
For Buhurt International points.
Don't do this to me, man.
Now, I'm going to be kind of an asshole. Dude, that is a regional tournament. None of those teams in that region are competing for the international championship in Buhurt International. They're not going to make prime realistically. What are you doing?
That's a rough one.
I'm sorry. That is the dumbest move you could possibly do. Because now, we ain't got a reason to go, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a small level 5 tournament.
It's a low level 5 tournament. We ain't going.
Yeah.
Right?
I
It being a 10s tournament was the draw.
Yeah.
And it's a fun as hell 10s tournament. And you making it another Buhurt International 5s tournament for the points that nobody in your region needs?
Yeah, that's a wild
because
one.
You're not, I mean this with all the love. None of those teams that are going to be at that tournament are realistically competing to go to Prime next year.
Yeah, no.
They're not. Because the teams that are realistically competing to go to Prime are Dominus, Kenyas, Warlords. You can make an argument for Pale Horse.
Yeah, because they'll be around enough for it. Yeah.
You can make an argument for Berserkers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But how many teams
can get
here from the Prime? Is it 2 or 3?
2. And there's a wild card slot.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
You could make an argument for, I don't know, Santos and
the War Pigs. Yeah.
The War Pigs. You can make an argument for the War Pigs,
yeah.
right? But if you're not those teams,
what are you doing?
Are you realistically competing? Don't chase points, man. It's like you don't need to chase points.
I think the point system should be basically a seat for seeding.
That's what it is. It decides when gold and silver, but this year it decides who's going to Prime.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying.
And there's only 2 slots and a wild card for Prime, right? Now, true, it is done by points.
Yeah.
Okay, so
is that going to be Prime next summer? Like 2026?
2026, yes.
Okay.
Yes, 2026. Now, true, it's by points. You don't have to beat anybody head up. It's just whoever got the most points. So you could make an argument that a low-level team could dark horse their way into.
But why would you, though?
Well, you could. Hey, if I'm a low-level team, that's why I go to Prime. I'm about it.
Yeah, but to go to Prime to
say I went to fight at Prime?
Fair, but going to Prime to just stack L's is a rough one, too. Like,
it is a rough way. It is a rough way to go to Prime. But you still went to Prime.
Yeah, true.
So I see that
experience you're not getting anywhere else.
But you're gonna have to have those teams. Like if you're doing that, those teams then have to travel to 2 other tournaments and score and win. They got to win those tournaments, right? Well, your other top teams are going to other tournaments trying to win those tournaments. Can you find 2 other tournaments that don't have top teams that have enough teams at those tournaments to get you enough points multipliers to actually get you the top C spot?
Okay,
like that's a long shot strategy.
Yeah, you basically got to dodge. Totally. You got to dodge your way into it.
You duck into Warlords, you duck in Kenyas, you duck in Dominus.
Yeah,
right. But you got to duck them at tournaments that have enough teams there that you get the 22, 28 points or whatever it is that you can get for having the most amount of teams in the tournament, right? But doesn't have a big name team there. That's a long shot strategy. Like War of the North needs to be a 10s tournament.
Yeah.
It is the only dedicated 10s tournament in the U.S. right now.
Man. Yeah, don't do that to us, man. Don't.
Well, sounds like it's done.
It sounds like it's been done.
I'm lodging a formal protest right now. And I'm a nobody. I'm just a loudmouth on the internet, so I can say these things. I don't have to be political about it, right? That is a dumb tournament to turn into a Buhurt International tournament.
I mean,
now, I'm saying this as someone who is chasing Buhurt International points this year.
Honestly,
we're trying to go to Prime.
We want to go to Prime, yeah.
Right. Yep. That particular tournament makes no sense for it to be Buhurt International tournament.
Where's Prime this next year?
I don't know. I haven't announced it yet.
It's not in the Czech Republic again?
No, I don't think so. I know Hungary is the Buhurt World Cup.
Yeah, Burley World Cup. Or International
that's
World
this
Cup.
year.
That's this year. But I don't know. I don't know where Prime is next year.
Okay.
Somebody asked me at Omaha if I was going to Hungary, and I was like, I haven't heard anything about Hungary, and it's in 2 months.
Well, you know why you're not going to Hungary?
No. Yeah, because BJ.
Because BJ.
Yeah.
BJ's why you're not going to Hungary.
It's okay. It doesn't even matter.
BJ screwed the Warlords out of a trip to Hungary. Yeah. I'm never going to forgive BJ for that. He torpedoed her.
How were all of us simultaneously the saddest men alive? All of us were just...
I did feel bad for you guys. I did feel bad.
So it's like any any major error like that is not just one error. It's not just BJ's fault. If Charles had showed up on time,
True.
we could have gotten a rental car and made it to made it to Carnage. But since Charles was like 4 hours late,
True.
every place in Mississippi
Everybody
was
was
closed.
yeah.
And we couldn't get a rental car to noon the next day.
And then, and then also on top of that, all of us knew BJ had been driving for 2 months. Somebody, and you said you told him, but
I told him 4 times.
He didn't hear. BJ didn't hear.
And for those who don't know, BJ filled up his truck, that's a diesel truck, with gasoline on the way to Carnage.
The Carnage curse still exists.
What do we have to do? We got to do some kind of ritual to break the Carnage curse next year, dog. Like,
We won it like 2 years in a row. We raffle stomped Carnage. And then we have not had a full team there since.
the ghosts of Carnage.
We've had to fight with
past.
like 6 fighters or less every Carnage since.
Oof.
Ghosts of
And
Carnage.
this year we only had
past.
4 that made it there. We made it there for the 12s, but you and BJ fought with Knights of Wakanda in the 12s. And Cyrus did his Benedict Arnold thing and fought over to the Warlords. So with Cyrus's first tournament, he got murked to the Executioners.
Okay.
So his name in our team chat forever was Benedict Arnold.
Yeah, didn't he got some hardware with the Executioners too?
He got
didn't
second. Yeah, he got second.
Pretty good.
But yeah, that's so. Anyway, he ended up fighting with the Warlord so that he could qualify for Hungary because he was like, Knights of Wakanda's not gonna beat these guys.
Yeah.
And I need to qualify.
Well, I think if we would have gotten silver, we would have been able to go. Was it like silver for the 12, or was it just 112s team?
I think it's just 112 team.
112s.
Okay.
I think if you want to go fight 30s, you can go fight 30s, but they just take anybody. They take any warm body they can for 30s.
I'm gonna die in the 30s because I'm gonna want to win, and nobody else is gonna care about winning.
I'm not fighting in the 30s
They're
because
supposed to be bringing a whole fresh team for the 30s. They don't want guys who are on the 12s or the 5s.
well, I mean that's the step in the right direction because I've said for many years that I hate the way HMB/Buhurt International does their tournaments because everybody fights 5s and then everybody fights 12s and then they're like, who wants to fight 30s? And it's all the tourists.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're broken.
Yeah, and you're a couple of guys out there that are actually good fighters. They're trying to fight the good fight in the 30s. You're just getting hammered
They're
because
just
it's
getting-
a bunch of guys
dying.
that don't train, don't do nothing. They're just there to say they went to an international tournament, and they're getting the slobber knocked all over the fucking field. So that is.
I guess I'll see if there's still a 30 slot open then.
Yeah, hit Johnny up.
If they're bringing a
Oh, it's Johnny. Oh,
Johnny's
yeah.
captain.
well, if they're bringing an actually dedicated 30s team, it might be worth doing 30s.
Yeah.
I'm doing 12s. 10s and 12s is my favorite event. I think it is I know it is the future of Buhurt.
Oh yeah.
1,000% positive. 5s is boring. Not
5 is figured out.
Well, the problem is that 5s is boring from a fan's perspective because it is.
I agree.
It is the ground game of MMA,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
At the top tier. Like we were talking about at dinner. We speaking of which, there's this Halil barbecue place called Coffee.
Apparently, it's real good.
Charles bailed because he's like, that looks terrible. Charles made poor decisions.
Yeah, Wagyu brisket was pretty good.
Yeah,
Look at
it
them.
was solid.
Did you saw the pictures on Google, right?
The
The pictures on Google look bad.
Yep.
They look real bad.
Yeah. So, all right.
Well, Bam, thanks for joining
Well, I mean,
us.
we have to cut this short because my cameras are dying. That's what that blinking
Oh, are
light
they?
means.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're not sure. We're at 55 minutes.
We're 55 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay, let's kind of wrap this up. So you this year are chasing MMA.
I'm chasing a bunch this year. So I've got 2 AMMA fights planned out, Chicago and Prescott Valley,
Okay.
where I'll be fighting Pete Moe and Johnny Shock.
Nice.
Or Jimmy Shock.
Jimmy Shock. Nice.
And then
It's gonna be a good fight.
I'm doing the Golden Ring in LA in a few weeks too, and I'll be fighting Grant there.
Nice.
And then I'm also on the Hungary team and the Austin team. So I'm fighting on the
Because we fighting 5s in Austin for gold, baby.
fuck yeah.
In Austin?
We're all on the same team.
Oh, I'm in Conroe. I'm tripping.
He's
Yeah.
on our IMCF gold team, dude.
Yeah.
It's a 5s. Are you fighting 10s or 16s?
I'm fighting. Actually, I might be on 5s, 10s, and 16s.
Yeah,
You can only do 2.
I can only do 2.
Rules is written. You can only do 2. So
I
you
signed
gotta-
up for
you
all
gotta- you
3.
gotta pick 2.
Oh,
But I'm.
well, I should be on the 10s and the 5s.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on those.
So
Oh yeah, because Tanner's captain in 10s this year instead of the 16s.
we got Team Texas going for 10s for
yeah,
international gold.
baby.
Yeah.
So hey, Team Texas, at IMCF this year, like 90% of your team is Texans.
So we need, if you're in Texas,
2026, we want an actual international team Texas. Come on, IMCF.
Let's make it happen.
You can do it. Also, we're international. Hey,
just saying. If you
Team Texas.
just saying.
Gets more Americans to events.
It's true.
Right? So, all right.
But man, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Part of Buhurt history right here, man.
Yeah, so
I'm Charles.
I'm Charlie.
I'm Bam Bam.
And he's the pretty one. And he's Superman.
Oh, we forgot sponsor shout out last time. Merch.buhurtislove.com.
Artisan Dice.
Artisandice.com. Please help us pay for all the swanky camera gear.